Hey guys, welcome back to Living Solo, Living Well, and I am Kat, and I'm glad that you joined me today. I've had a couple of people lately that have asked me what I typically eat and what kind of meals I prepare, what kind of diet, I guess you could say, that I'm on. I'm not on a diet, but as far as what my diet consists of, they were asking me that, and I thought I would do a video on it. Now, in the past, I was a fitness instructor. I was a lifestyle and weight management consultant, and I was a personal trainer. And all of this was through American Council on Exercise. It's been many years, so those were my much younger days, and not terribly younger days, but I'd say the 30s, 40s, early 50s maybe. And I enjoyed that so much. I did have a little fitness studio many years ago, and I had aerobic classes, and I did personal training on the side. So it wasn't a very big business at all. It was more like a hobby, I guess you could say. So I've always had a health and fitness background, lifestyle. So I used to race walk, and I would walk 6 and 8 miles pretty much every day. And then I would do long distance cycling, which I absolutely loved. And anyway, so I was very active for a long time. I enjoyed it so much. And then eventually the walking led to issues in my feet. So if you are doing any kind of long distance walking or race walking or power walking, be sure you buy the correct footwear, because at the time I didn't think anything of it, and I didn't consider that I needed good supportive footwear. I don't know how I missed that, but I missed the boat on that. But anyway, I thought I would just talk about what a typical week looks like as far as what I eat, and sometimes it's good, sometimes it's not. So we'll dig into it and see what we got. So I do a lot of meal prep. I cook maybe once a week or every couple of weeks, and I do a meal. I might do a soup or some kind of, maybe a casserole, and then I'll freeze individual servings so I can just pull a serving out, either sit it out to thaw and heat it in the oven, or heat it in the microwave or stovetop. So that makes it a lot easier, so I don't have to work on making a meal every day, as far as meal prepping every day and finding a new recipe. So I guess we'll just start with Monday mornings. Maybe we'll start with the beginning of the week, and I can give you an idea of how my mornings go, and then my lunch, and then the evening. So typically when I get up, I wish I didn't, but I always wake up about 5 o'clock to get up. And that's without an alarm clock. I've gotten up so early for so many years that I just wake up at that point. My dog Sophie is, I'll see if I can turn the camera on her. So here she goes. That is Sophie Sue. And she sleeps right next to me while I'm making videos. But anyway, she usually has to get up around 3 o'clock or 3:30 to go potty. So when I hear her jump off my bed, I'm in a deep sleep, but I always hear her jump off. So I'll get up, let her out, let her do her thing, and then I'll let her back in. Then she doesn't come back in the room when I go back to bed. That way I can sleep until 5 o'clock, or on a rare occasion, 6 o'clock. So I much prefer getting up 6 o'clock or later, but my body just doesn't stay asleep that long. So anyway, when I first get up, I've been trying to watch my weight lately, because it's difficult to work out since my back was injured, and I have a lot of issues with that. So I will make coffee. I have a Keurig coffee maker, and I like the Dark Magic. I like the strong coffee, and I put a little bit of clarified butter or ghee in it. So I use a little whisk, and I'll whisk it up. And then I call it my mocha frappa latte, or mocha chocolate. So I just make up a name, and I feel special and fancy. So anyway, I will have a cup of coffee. And a lot of times in the past, I would make this wonderful, it's a quinoa, banana, chocolate chip, oat flour muffin. and I would make a batch of those and freeze some, keep some in the refrigerator, and I would eat those for breakfast with my coffee. So I was trying something different. I kind of got into the habit of eating those little mini sausage biscuits that you buy frozen, and I felt like I was eating those maybe a couple a day, and that to me, it's a high calorie carbohydrate, and I try to have higher protein than carbs. I try to keep my carbs low if I can, but I don't always succeed at that. Um, I do like the sausage biscuits, but I kind of cut those out because I was trying to do like a reset for my body to try to get healthier. And I felt kind of weighed down when I eat a lot of bread or flour products or things like that. It makes me feel just weighted down. And so I kind of got rid of those. I got rid of the muffins for the time being, and I'll have my coffee, and then a little bit later, maybe an hour later or so, maybe 2 hours later, I will have a protein shake. And I'm trying to increase the protein in my diet, and I like the shakes. These are actually from Nutrisystem, and I order the shake mix. I was drinking the Premier protein shakes for breakfast, but they bloat me too much. I have an issue with whey and WHEY, not whey, but I do have an issue with weighing. And anyway, those were making me feel really bloated and kind of making my stomach not feel too good. So I switched over to the Nutrisystem. It's just a chocolate fudge shake mix. And so I will have that about an hour or two after breakfast. And this actually depends on, after coffee, but this actually depends on if I work, if I have to go to work at 8 o'clock. I work at a hyperbaric oxygen chamber unit in a wound clinic, and I just work PRN. So I'm limited on hours a day that I can work because of my injuries. So I'm there from 8 to 12 a couple days a week. And anyway, so I will, at some point, if I have to go to work, I will have the shake and I'll drink that. I'll shower, I'll drink the rest of it. And anyway, that's generally my breakfast. It's the coffee and then a protein shake. And then while I'm at work, not when I'm at home, but on the days that I work, I will take a protein bar, and the brand is Think. It used to be called Think Thin, but I think politically they had to change the name, so now it's called Think. And I like their chocolate peanut butter, creamy peanut butter, or they have like a brownie bar that's really good. It does taste like a real brownie, but I think it's 20 grams of protein in either of those. So what I do is I cut that up into bite-sized pieces and I put it in a baggie. And at my job, since I have low blood sugar, I have to watch. I have to eat a lot. I have to eat frequently. And so I will have that as my snack kind of between my shake and lunch. So when I get home for lunch, I will have, sometimes I'll have a yogurt. I'll have the, can't remember the brand, but it's like a 000, so it doesn't have any, I think it's very low in carbs and very low in fat, and then it has, I think, 15 grams of protein. So a lot of times I'll mix some granola in with it or pumpkin seeds. Sometimes I'll put flax seeds or chia seeds in it as well. So if I have some fresh fruit or even frozen blueberries, I'll thaw those in the refrigerator and then I'll add those to it. So it just depends on, my mood, I guess, as to what I put in it. So sometimes I will have another shake at lunch, and then later in the day, I won't have another protein bar, but I might have, if I have that protein shake at lunch instead of the yogurt, then I'll have the yogurt as a snack, or I'll reverse that and I'll have the yogurt at lunch and a protein shake as a midday snack. So that's kind of my routine there. And I do try to drink plenty of water. I'm trying harder. I used to do very well at it, but I would like to have at least 80 ounces of water a day and 80 grams of protein a day. That's just me specifically. That's my preference. But it's hard when I'm at work to drink that much water, like especially first thing in the morning, because I'll be in the bathroom so much that I need to stay with the patients who are in the oxygen chambers during their session, so I can't leave the room. So I limit my liquids until I'm not working. And anyway, so I try to get in plenty of water, plenty of fluids. It's not always in the form of water. I count my coffee. I drink vitamin water. I like the orange flavor, and I'll drink that, and it's the no sugar kind. So that gets me through to dinner time. So if I already had meal prepped, I will, I have a couple of, I guess, standby meals that I like to make. One of them is, it's a skillet lasagna. It's a one-pan lasagna that makes it so easy. You don't have to stack the noodles, stack all the layers, and bake it. It's just all done in a skillet. And you can find that on the All Recipes website, or actually on YouTube, all recipes. And the chef, or the lady that makes these, she's taking culinary classes, and so she knows what she's doing. But her name is Nicole McLaughlin, I believe, and she does a lot of videos on great meals from All Recipes. So I use that recipe for the skillet lasagna. Sometimes I will make it's called a Panera Bread copycat chicken, vegetable, and rice soup. And that is, it's just so good. I'll try to remember to leave a link in the description to this video. I'll try to leave a link to the skillet lasagna, because it is a one-pan wonder. You know, you're done, one and done. And then with both of those meals, I will portion them into individual servings, little freezer bowls. You could do freezer bags if you wanted, but I'll put those in freezer bowls and I'll freeze them. And I think currently I might have 8 or 10. I think I might have 10 bowls of the soup in the freezer, and then I've got probably 5 or 6 individual bowls of the lasagna. So those are the two of the main ones that I like. I also in the past have made I make a baked fish. It's the mahi mahi, and there's a recipe that I've used. I can't recall where I got it, but I think I use a little bit of, I think the only ingredients are mayonnaise, and you put Parmesan cheese in with that, and then some garlic, salt and pepper, and then you coat the fish with it. So then you bake it. I couldn't tell you what it bakes on because I don't have that information in front of me, but you bake it until it's flaky and tender. And the crust is this really good, it's just a really good Parmesan cheese flavored. You wouldn't think with mayonnaise it would taste that great, but it really does taste great after it's baked. So that's one of my other go-tos, with a side of, I would cook some quinoa, which is a whole grain, like a complete protein grain. And I would cook that, and then I would stir fry in some coconut oil, some kale or spinach, but usually kale leaves. And I will put that with some diced up mangoes and the sauteed kale. I'll put that on top of the quinoa, and I would have that as a side, like a side vegetable, I guess you could say. So that's another one of my favorites. And I don't meal prep that ahead of time because I don't want to cook the fish and then freeze it, and then I would rather have that freshly cooked. So that's another one of my favorite meals. I love grilling out in the summertime. I love grilled chicken. I love steak. I like a nice thick small piece of sirloin, or something that doesn't have a lot of gristle in it or a lot of fat on it. I don't like to look at the fat that's on even a filet mignon. I don't like the look of the fat on there. I'm sure it's good, but I have to not see that. So it just does something to my mind, I think. But anyway, I also make a great salmon patty recipe it's so good. And I haven't made that in a long time, but that is one of the other recipes that I make for dinner. So it's not a very exciting meal for the meals for the week, but they are fairly healthy for the most part. The copycat Panera Bread soup that I mentioned, is made with heavy cream and milk. And so you do have a lot more calories in there, but you've got some healthy fat in it. It is made with chicken breast, like shredded, and that's always really good. But another recipe that I'll make that I'll eat this for lunch and for dinner. Just depends on when I make it. And it's a chicken salad recipe. So I will grill the chicken on the grill, and I have a charcoal grill. So I do have a gas grill, but it's just an old one. So I use my charcoal grill for the most part. And I will grill the chicken, and then when it's cooled, I'll shred it up, and I'll put some Hellmann's mayonnaise, olive oil mayonnaise in it. And then I'll dice up one Granny Smith apple. If I have celery on hand, I'll dice that up. And then I'll chop up some purple grapes. You can put whatever your favorite is. And then I'll mix that up. I'll put plenty of black pepper, because I found that the black pepper with the grapes in the chicken salad just gives it kind of elevates the flavor. You know, I sound like a chef, but I'm not. I've just cooked ever since I was tall enough to reach the stove as a little kid. I've cooked forever. So anyway, that's one of my other go-to recipes. And I'll use some, if I don't have any red bell peppers to dip in the chicken salad, I will get some like pita chips or something like that. So again, this is all not real thrilling. It's just the norm that I do. On occasion, I love a good hot dog. I love a boiled hot dog, or even grilled. And I love ketchup and onions. That is all I put on hot dogs. And I will have a bun with that. So, I don't eat a lot of bread. I went through a phase where I did, and I just was haphazard with it. And I feel better over the last couple of months that I've cut out most of the bread. But I still do have some bread. And but I love a good hot dog. I know a friend of mine and I used to go to Costco together, and they had the best hot dogs. I don't know what it was. They were just good. We looked forward to getting a hot dog every time we went there together. So anyway, then the worst time for me is evenings, like between supper time and bedtime, because I tend to want to snack on something. And, I've kind of been slacking lately, on eating healthy and snacking more. And I'm trying to stop that, because I just don't like the feeling. I don't like how I feel when I do that. So there was a good time when I was really disciplined. There was a good bit of time where I would eat the semi-sweet or the dark chocolate chips. I would get a handful, literally measure out a tablespoon, and that's been years since I measured it, but I would get a little handful and I would snack on those. And I don't know if that's a good or bad thing, but it's just something that it gives me that little taste of chocolate and sweetness. But I've also here lately been enjoying the York peppermint patties. So in the evening, not very many evenings, but every now and then I'll pick one up at the store, and that'll be my kind of like a dessert for the evening. I was eating or drinking rather these, what are they called? Like a shaved ice. And only last summer I got addicted to those. There's a local little shack that I call it the shaved ice shack. And I don't know, there's no name for it, but they sell the shaved ice. And last year in the dead of summer, on these super hot, 90, 100 degree days in Tennessee, I was getting a small or medium shaved ice, and black cherry was my favorite. So I was getting those maybe a couple per week. And I just, it was so good, but I just hated the thought that I was drinking all that sugar. That is all sugar and ice. And no wonder it's so good, because it's sugar. And anyway, this year I've not had any. They've already opened for the summer, but I'm trying to be disciplined and stay away from that. So anyway, there are times when I'm really trying to drop a few pounds. That's very difficult because it's hard to work out. But I will have 3 of those protein shakes throughout the day, and then maybe one small meal at some point with a few healthy snacks in between. Sometimes in the morning when I'm drinking my coffee, I like a crunch factor. I like to crunch on things. And so I would get a handful of almonds. I would actually roast the almonds in the oven, and then I'd get raw almonds, roast them, and let them cool, then put them back in the bag that they come in. And I would grab a handful of those, and I would eat a few of those while I'm drinking my coffee. I don't know why that seemed to go together, but it worked as far as satisfying my need for a crunch, something crunchy. So I enjoy that. Honestly, I would prefer the muffins that I was making, but again, I'm trying to kind of help myself feel better, just not sluggish and not weighed down, I guess, with bread or bread products, even though the muffins are very healthy, made with oat flour. And I just, I did kind of eat more than I should of those when I had them around because they're so good. They're just really good. But anyway, that's my week pretty much. That's I guess you could say my daily, and I carry that over throughout the week. I just change out lunch or dinner, or I might have 3 shakes instead of 2, and then that little snack in between. So nothing fancy whatsoever. That does change periodically. So it's not like I'm having the same thing every day for every week. I do add the wrong kinds of foods every now and then. A few days ago, I love biscuits and gravy. I never make it. I might pick up an order from a place in town, 1 or 2 places in town, and it might be once every few weeks, but I decided I wanted to make biscuits and gravy the other day. And I hadn't had bread for quite a while, so when I tried eating a biscuit, it was very heavy on my stomach. And I ate maybe out of the whole batch of 10, I think I may have eaten 3 total. So I do still have the gravy in the refrigerator, and it's still good. I might use it on something, but I know this sounds weird, but I love gravy, but I have an issue with lactose intolerance. And so I haven't really had much of a problem with that gravy. I don't have an issue when I eat yogurt, but certain ice creams will cause me to have some terrible stomach pains. So I have to take it easy on any kind of milk product. However, having said that, the soup that I make, that's the Panera Bread copycat soup, that's got milk and heavy cream, and I don't seem to have a problem, but I don't eat a huge serving. I eat a very small serving. So it doesn't seem to bother my stomach with that much milk or heavy cream. I don't know why, and the yogurt doesn't. Cheese does not, but it's mainly ice cream or like the gravy, a little bit of it if I eat too much. Again, I don't know why that is, and the soup doesn't bother me, but anyway, these are the foods that I eat throughout the week, and that does change. But it's just kind of an idea. Like I said, I've had a couple people ask, and here we are. So drop a comment below and let me know how your week is with regard to your meals. What kind of foods do you like? Do you meal prep ahead of time and freeze the meals? Or do you like to cook every evening? I love to cook, but I don't want to spend every night cooking. I have a lot of trouble with my back. And when I do upper body repetitive things, it exhausts me. The back is just, gives me a lot of trouble. So I try to do a meal prep at one time for a good many days so I don't have to do it, frequently. So anyway, leave me a comment on what your favorite thing is to cook during the week, what your favorite meal is, what your tips are for meal prep, shopping. Groceries are getting so expensive these days that we've got to watch, I've got to watch what I spend. So anyway, just let me know what you think, and I will see you on the next video.